Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cracker Jack Cards. Today, I'm here with Lee Behrens, my dad's childhood friend, and also the owner of Sterling Sports Auctions. You may have seen his poster behind all my videos. Very good friends with him, and we're doing an interview with him today.
Nice to join you.
So I'm pretty much just going to start off when you just started collecting. So what got you into collecting as a kid?
Well, as a child, I grew up with Jack's dad. We lived across the street from each other, and we had a small grocery store that was 4 blocks from us. And many times when you got your extra dime, you'd have to go run to the Botner Grocery, it was called, and go get a pack of cards, and that just kind of evolved. 1970 was the initial year. And for those, I recently had a 1970 box to reminisce on that came in that I really like. It just evolved. I mean, I just continued collecting until it was about 79, I believe. I kind of slowed down from that point, but really kind of bought stuff here and there. Had a masses, but thank goodness I didn't get too much from the 80s. But
yeah. So growing up in the 70s, who was your favorite player?
Well, Harmon Killebrew, because when we were 5 or 6, my mother took us to a game, and they played the Oakland A's, and my mother did a half-ass job of keeping score, but I give her credit for doing what she did. But it was a rained out. It rained. The game ended in like the 6th inning because of rain, and Reggie Jackson and Harmon Killebrew both hit home runs in the game, and that was what's cool. I still have the program to look back. So Harmon became kind of a favorite as a small child, but as it grew and stuff, always like Kent Herbeck, and really that as it evolved, Joe Mauer and Justin Morneau and the newer generation.
Yeah. Harmon Killebrew is my favorite player as well, so a little connection there. So now getting into, I know I've heard you talk about after like the 80s and the 90s, you had a card shop.
Yeah, after I got done with college, I still was a little bit involved with the card business, but not much, being the broke college kid. And there was some curiosity about opening a card shop, and a friend of mine, when I talked to him, was thinking about doing it, and basically, to make it short, we came upon an agreement where I would manage a store that he would open, and we had the store for 3.5 years, and really good time from 88 to 92. So we got with the World Series, and we did really well. I mean, it was tough not to make money in that era,
Yep.
But it was like not having a job. I worked 6 to 7 days a week, and took time. Went to a few nationals, the largest show ever at the Moscone Center in San Francisco, but it was very enjoyable.
But after that, you
basically life had to move on.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
when that got done. And that's when the whole evolution of it changed the hobby with the chase cards and stuff. And as a store owner, you didn't know what you could buy to make money. So got out of that, got some other jobs. And I would buy cards on occasion, but pretty much took a hiatus from about 92 to about 2000 when I got back onto eBay and started buying. I had originally, it was kind of like everybody else, like the 50s and 60s stuff in the 80s, and I went to a card store show one time, and the guy had a briefcase, 2 briefcases full of cards, and it was basically all pre-World War II cards, and I was just in awe of them. Went through, I ended up buying 2 cards from one was a T202, which I still have, and a cigar box label of Bill Pulliam, which was a president of the National League at one time that committed suicide, but Yeah, so that kind of kindled my fire into getting into pre-World War II, and I still to this day can't figure out how I had 60 T206s by the time I got to 2000, because from being from Minnesota, there wasn't much pre-1933 stuff around. But so I started buying T202s off to try to get the set complete, which I eventually did do it, but I evolved into working on the T206 set, and I got up to 520 of those, and just buying this set and everything else.
So now, as the owner of Sterling Sports Auctions, how did you get Sterling Sports? How did you obtain Sterling Sports Auctions?
Sterling Sports Auction was it originally wasn't mine. It was started by another guy, and I had consigned to him a few times, and I'd buy from him. And I was in transition from a job, and I wanted to get liquid, so I was going to send him some cards to get some cash. And he had told me he was going to shut it down. And I thought, oh crap, now I got to go back onto eBay to try to sell. And that night it dawned on me, like, I wonder if he'd sell me this thing. So, make a long story short, talked to him. A month later, we came up with an agreement, and I bought Sterling Sports Auctions. After he had done 14 auctions, I started at number 15, and now we're up to 117 is the upcoming auction. So I've done 101 auctions so far.
So, what is Sterling's target audience? Like modern, more vintage, or pre-war?
My background bringing pre-war has helped that's a strong niche for me. I do a lot of 50s and 60s stuff. I do the 4 major sports: boxing, golf, all of that. Not as strong. I'm not as big into modern stuff, but I still do it. If people send me stuff, I'll list it and stuff. Prices are just as strong. I'm not a big auction site. I'm a one-man show. You get the personal touch. If you call, you get me. There is no drop-off from, say, if you go to a big auction site. They might be able to do better with your one-of-a-kind stuff, or, there isn't a whole lot of out there, unique stuff. But when it comes to your 50s, 60s, 70s, and the pre-war stuff, I do just fine, and I can get record prices just as well as any big auction house when it comes to sales.
Yep, and me and my dad have sent out a couple cards to sell on there before. But what is the biggest card you have sold on Sterling?
I stole locally for a guy here, a collector, that in 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle, that wasn't high grade. It was a 1.5, but we got $43,000 for the card, which at the time was the second highest ever paid for a card at that grade.
Wow. So where do you see the growth in the hobby, whether that is in modern or pre-war or vintage 50s, 60s, or?
Well, I think you can always, your big name Hall of Famers from the 60s on back are always a good solid investment. The modern market is always kind of, you just don't know where that's going to go. There's a huge market for it, but it can spike and lower as quick as any of them. I mean, that's a market I think you have to really watch and be on top of. But if you want to stay in something solid, your 50s, 60s, and the pre-World War II stuff I don't think you can go wrong if you're looking at it as a dollar thing. But as I've told people from the get-go when I had the store, buy what you love. If you're in it for the money, you're in it for the wrong reason.
Yep.
You can make money, but you got to stay on top of it. And if you buy what you love, at the end of the day, you have something you like. If it totally craps out.
Yeah, and we saw one of those really big spikes during COVID. How do you see the market going now after post-COVID?
Post-COVID it's been good. I mean, it's a stronger market than it was pre-COVID. The big name Hall of Famers took a good spike. they seem to be holding strong with their prices. Some of the other stuff is lowered back. Modern took a big hit backwards, but it's a strong market out there yet. I mean, your cards like T206s. I mean, when I was putting a set together, you could get a poor fair common for $5. Well, now they're $25-$30. They're never going to go down in price in those sets. Whereas you get into tops or whatever, there was a spike in the 70s and 80s stuff during COVID. Well, that tailed off just because there's plenty of it out there.
Yeah. Do you have any, I'm sure you have a lot, but do you have any certain card that you regret selling?
I've actually I've sold a lot in my lifetime. A lot of it was flipping to make some money, and actually I used cards, half my card collection, to buy Sterling sports auctions. And I can probably legitimately say there's maybe 3 cards, and I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head, maybe a N28 Cap Anson that I wouldn't mind having it back. But I still have a personal collection, but I've kind of geared it now towards your Ty Cobbs, your Wagners. I have kind of my little niche in the collecting hobby is T206s. There's a tough back called Cycle 460s. I have 108 of 109 possible, and nobody else has that many. And the only one I need is, there's only one known to exist. And so, and I have another one of one that's out there. So everybody's going to have, if they want to get it, they can get the 108 at this point for, like, that's one of the niches in the hobby. I mean, I like to, I've always bought what I liked, and that was something. I mean, there's different strange things like Piedmont art stamps, which are kind of obscure, but you don't see them for sale. I like them. I'd pick them up for $5-10, even with their junk. But now all of a sudden, because everybody realizes they're scarce, your $5-10 card is $100 now.
So kind of going back to the first question, or one of the first questions, your favorite player growing up. Do you have a favorite player now that still plays actively?
As far as baseball to watch, that's a good question. I hate the way the pitching has evolved in baseball. I really, if Byron Buxton would ever stay healthy, he's the most amazing player I've ever seen in person. I mean, that man can run better than anybody. It would be great to have a full season of him, because I've seen him alive enough times and to watch him run and field, and it's, to me, it's like watching Bo Jackson in the 80s. There just was nobody like Bo Jackson.
Yeah, talking about pitching, I mean, sometimes I'll be watching a game, it'll be like 7th inning, guys pitching in a no-hitter, and they pull him. I remember watching Joe Ryan got pulled in the 7th inning last year, and I just had to turn it off. I couldn't believe what I saw. So going back to Sterling, you have any cards you want to show off for the upcoming auctions? Or?
Yeah, the upcoming auction, we haven't got everything in, obviously. We get a nice influx. I mean, as we mentioned, like T206s, here's a Lajoie with a bat that's strong. There's some different ones of Lajoie with a E92. Flip it around, and the back on it's a Croft Cocoa back, which is tough. Here's a T205 Ty Cobb. Here's a 1914 Cracker Jack Eddie Plank. Ernie Banks rookie.
I love this card. He looks like a
That's a card that really spiked during COVID. Sandy Koufax rookie.
Love the white backs.
Satchel Paige. Can't go wrong with Satchel. And as you see, they're not all high grade. It's a market that I kind of deal with. Is I don't need the high end stuff. There's high-end stuff like this. Is a Brian Trottier rookie. Oh, peachy. I mean, you can find that out there. PSA 5 Y Tittle rookie. Just to have some variety. Here's a, once again, when you're looking at variety, nice grade, PSA 7, 63 Clemente. Hank Aaron. This is a variety of cards, and here's a T206 Christy Matheson with the dark cap. That's just a variety of cards that I get within an auction, and sometimes it's complete sets. Individual cards, sometimes lots. I mean, it really varies on what comes in every auction. It's kind of exciting to see some of the stuff. I mean, I see stuff I've never seen before.
Yeah, we've been going on Sterling consistently for probably about a year or two now, and I mean, just looking at some of the cards on there, just like wondering, maybe we'll get that one day, like some of those Grail cards, and but yeah, a lot of great cards on that auction. Definitely go check it out. I usually say it every video, but I mean, it is a great auction house. Well, thank you for coming on here.
If I can just add, if you aren't familiar with how auctions work, they're all a little different. Almost every auction house is not run like eBay. They're run different. If you have any questions, feel free to call. Just go to Sterling Sports Auctions. The homepage, the contact information's on there. If you do call, you do get me, and I'll gladly answer your questions. And any concerns you might have, my buyer's premium is 17%, which is low for most auction houses. They tend to run 20% or higher. But like I said, if you have any questions or concerns, it's safer than eBay, I'll tell you that.
I'll throw the link to the auction in the description of the video, and definitely go check it out. Anything else?
Well, if you do have trouble, you can always tell Jack, and Jack will send his dad after me. So.
I was gonna ask you any embarrassing stories of my dad, but I think I'll save the embarrassment for my dad.
Yeah. Oh, we have a good. It cost me 4 packs of baseball cards when he got hit by a dump truck one time. There you go. Yeah, that was my sympathy for him. To go get him some packs of baseball cards to make him feel better. So.
And I thought it was great because I'm getting free baseball cards.
Yeah,
so I loved it.
Maybe I'll have to try to get hit by a dump truck and buy me some cards. Well, thank you for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me on. It was good, and hopefully it's not the last.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, we'll see how it goes, and I think Jack's been doing a great job.
Thank you.
I saw the initial thing, and it's like with anything else, it's pretty raw. You got to get used to what you're doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sounds like he's getting comfortable in the deal, and I've gotten actually customers from him, and they compliment him too. So, nice job with what you're doing so far.
Thank you. And thanks for coming on, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be making more soon. I haven't really been making much, but yeah, thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Lee, for coming on.
Thanks for having me on.